What's going on, everyone? It's Mike. It's John back again. This is your debrief. Your debrief. Everton 0, Brighton 3. I'm going to let you start.
Well, I'm lost for words still today because, listen, first game of a new season, we're all excited, we're all going to Goodison, we're having a few pints with our mates and the lads and stuff, and then the team sheet comes out and you see he's stuck and he's being loyal again with two players who are not very good Premier League standards, i.e. Decore and Michael Keane. Decore was poor towards the end of last season. He's been poor in pre-season. When we've seen him, by the way, we've hardly seen him, but then he's straight back into a Premier League game. I was listening to Sean Dyche's comments, and some of the comments between him wiping his baldy head, by the way, which is starting to do my head in. Get a fan, because all he does is that. What for? So then he comes out with comments like, well, we forced them to boot the ball out to play. Brilliant. Brilliant that, Sean. We've got 9 months of a season coming up. We've gone and sold Onana. We've spent the money quite well, in my opinion. But you're happy to force Brighton to boot the ball out of play. Sound. Then he brings Mason Holgate on instead of Jake O'Brien. Why bring Mason Holgate on anyway? And then he comes out with a comment where he says, the new lads that we brought in haven't got Premier League experience to be starting. Well, I'm not being funny. You come out yesterday and said you've been managing in the Premier League for 10 years. You know and I know, and every football fan knows, the only way you get Premier League experience is by fucking playing in the Premier League. So play them and stop sticking with Michael Keane and Decore, who are so poor. When the team sheet come out and they were on it, it just felt like nothing had changed. I watched the game yesterday, nothing had changed. So we're seeing some stats. Brighton had 5 shots on target. Granted, they scored 3. We had 1. We're the home team. 63% possession Brighton had. We're the home team. And Sean Dyche come out in an interview of the week saying he wants to try and play differently to the way we have in the past. He wants to stop the long ball. He wants to play it out from the back and use the midfielders that we've brought in. But yet Brighton had 63% of the possession because he didn't play them players. And they had 5 corners to our 1. Brighton played like the home team. Yesterday, nothing could change for me. And I know people will have a comment, go at me in the comments saying, well, 2 points deductions and we should have finished 12th last season, blah, 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 blah. But yesterday, if he's not gonna start these new players and change how the way he plays and come out with stupid comments in his post-match interview, then I'm sorry, Sean, you're going to start losing the fans and quickly, and it's going to be a long season for us because that was shocking yesterday.
Yeah, that was. Take yourself back 12 months and we did Wolves first game of the season last season. It was somebody like that. We lost 1-0 and we absolutely battered them. We just couldn't put the ball in the net. It was polar opposites yesterday.
But Michael, I know I've spoke a lot and I know you're going to speak, but he's come out with comments like we were in the game and, there was a couple of offsides that shouldn't have happened and we scored a goal and we should have had a penalty and they're looking at the screen with nothing on apart from VAR. Right, so nothing's changed. As you say, it's the polar opposite now. It's not as if we outplayed Brighton yesterday and the only thing we couldn't do was score a legit goal or not be caught offside as much as what we were, i.e. Decore 4 or 5 times in the first half. A professional footballer should not be caught offside 4 or 5 times in one half of football.
Especially first half.
I know. Right, sorry, go on. I'm still fuming, as you can tell, but it was just shit.
No, it's John, it's fine, it's understandable. Yeah, look, he gets it wrong. I mean, the man's reaction I did yesterday, I put in the title. he got it wrong. He got it wrong again. And we've seen him get it wrong time and time and time when it comes to making key decisions. It's just, I'm not going to necessarily say he is scared, but it just sometimes doesn't have, it's either the nous or the bottle to just go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to start this kid from the start. I'm going to do this different. He mentioned about using the midfield and playing differently and playing a better brand of football. But the amount of times Tarkowski or Michael King got the ball and just pinged it to the winger on both sides.
Yeah, but the reason for that was because he didn't play any of the new players he brought in because they've got no Premier League experience.
And that's the thing, when you sit there and you watch this game, you know, the one player that yesterday I thought could have had a real effect on Brighton because of the position that he takes up is Endai. Yeah, he doesn't bring him on until we're 2-0 down. You know, when you've got Brighton, who are a team that have got fantastic pace, they've got real pace. You look on the left, they've got Minter. Look on the right, they've got, the lad who scored. You sit there and you think, how are you not dealing with the obvious signers? If they come forward, use pace to get out. And we haven't got much pace in that starting 11 that he started yesterday. So why are players like Ndai not starting? Even Lindstrom is rapid. Why are they not playing? Dwight McNeil yesterday, I thought was shocking. And I'm not saying he was the worst Everton player, but I didn't think he had a good game at all. You know, the fact that you look at the Everton team and you think all of the players that we seem to think are like decent players are actually not very good. Like, not very good.
They're not very good under Sean Dyche. That's the problem.
If you take Branthwaite, Tarkowski, and probably from yesterday, Tim Ibrahim out of that team, how many of them players get in a top 10 team?
No. I just want to add to what you've said. Be careful how you say Tim's surname because there's a few people in the comments who are having a pop at us because we're not saying it right. But they do know who we mean. They just want to be arsey about it. But that's why I'm just calling him Tim from now on.
Tim Ibrahim.
Well, for me, it's Tim because I'm saying it wrong and I've never been able to say it.
I've just said it wrong as well. I don't know, but he has been a breath of fresh air since he's come in. He was the only player yesterday that I thought, you know what, fair play.
Well, Dyche said that. Dyche said that special praise for him, you know, and that's good. That's one good thing he's done come out of yesterday. You know, he's give the young kid praise in his home debut in the Premier League, you know, and it looked like he'd been in the team for a long time. But the rest of them, as you quite rightly say, apart from him, Pickford, probably Tarkowski, Branthwaite. We didn't see Jake O'Neill.
O'Brien.
Oh, sorry, O'Brien, Jake O'Brien. None of them really get into the top 10 team. And this is it, Michael. And this is, you know, but if he goes with the team that he should have done yesterday and stop being loyal to certain players, then you can start looking at, well, Ndai made a difference. Jesper Lindstrom come on and give their fullbacks something to worry about. And Ndai would have given their defenders something to worry about. You know, we could have picked the ball up and brought Dominic Calvert-Lewin into play even more because, again, he was isolated. He's not going to sit here and slag Dominic Calvert-Lewin off again this time because he got no service whatsoever. He didn't work hard enough, but he didn't get no service. So it was just like watching the team, as you quite rightly say, from the beginning of last season. The difference was then we just couldn't score, but yesterday was just poor all around. And
yeah,
it was...
Last season, John, if you remember, after about 5 games, we had the highest expected goals in the league or something, but we'd only scored once. Yeah, this season, we've actually, in terms of attacking threat, even though we've signed attacking players, we looked worse. We
didn't play them.
I can't believe how poor we looked in the final third at any occasion. I can't believe.
I think what you've got to look for that, and the reason for that, Michael, is because when we had the expected XG, you know, the high one, Doucouré was playing well, and him and Dominic Calvert-Lewin were linking up well together, and, you know, there was some sort of chemistry there. as I said before, since the back end of last season and going into pre-season and the first game yesterday, Decore's miles off it. So then that doesn't help Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Start the new players that you've brought in and help Dominic Calvert-Lewin out, and let's create chances again. Because as I said, we had one shot on target yesterday, Michael.
The biggest thing for me yesterday was the lack of intensity down either side. The amount of times we didn't put a ball into a box or we didn't try and get a corner. I mean, you've got players on that pitch, right? You've got Calvert-Lewin, Decore, the two centre halves. They're all tall. Mikolenko scored from corners before. We have one corner on the 4th minute. We score. The goal's offside. Fair enough, it is offside, but we score. We don't have a corner after, even though that may well have been our biggest threat yesterday. We don't even try. I was in absolute shell shock yesterday how poor we was, and I wasn't at the game. I ended up watching it after. I was an hour behind, so I was watching it on catch up. That's why the reaction was late. And I sat there thinking, all of the fans were there on Friday, putting the flags out and the banners. The atmosphere was fantastic. The tributes before the game, the tributes during the game, all of the fans did their part. Yet yesterday, the players, the manager, were, if I'm being honest, a disgrace. They were awful. And for Sean Dyche, whether he is being critical of the fans or not, but his comment around the fans leaving, I thought was a disgrace. Whether it's taken out of context or not, I thought the comment was put wrong. Because what he should have said was, I don't blame them. We were poor. We'll put our hands up. Fair enough. You expect better. The fans expect better. And I don't blame them for leaving early. Not saying something like, basically, when they don't get their own way, that's it. When they don't win, that's it. I sat there and thought, Everton fans have been through the absolute ringer for probably the last 3 or 4 years. We've supported the club non-stop. We've done coach greeting, we've done flair, we've done all sorts of stuff to support this team. We made Spirit of the Blues #1 when we were playing well, all sorts of positive stuff. Yet they decided on the last game at Goodison, the first game at Goodison of the season, they decided to turn up like that, and Dyche decided to bottle it, playing all of these new players that he started, because no other manager, by the way, has bottled their new sidings. I'm watching Crystal Palace in there, and I'm seeing Kamada starting. I'm seeing other players starting. I watched Newcastle yesterday starting new players. I'm seeing every other team go, you know what? We are going to start this lad. He hasn't got Premier League experience, but we're going to start him anyway, because why spend £20 million on him if you're not going to start him? I thought Sean Dyche yesterday was a joke. And I'm not in the sack him now camp, because he earned my respect a little bit for how he delivered last season. But as you rightly say, John, that will evaporate if he comes out with that nonsense and he starts that team at Spurs.
Well, the thing is, Michael, you know and I know and all Everton fans know, as soon as you lose the Everton fan base, and we've seen it with what happened with Machiri and the lies about Stranglegate, as soon as you start putting comments against the Everton fans, mate, you don't win. There's only one winner, and it's us. So whether it's being taken out of context or not, I guarantee you right now, if Sean Dyche was a fan and he was sitting there watching that tripe for 80 minutes, then he would have got off as well. He would have left. And I'm not being funny. I spend 700 and odd quid a season on my season ticket. He's not going to call me out and tell me when I can and can't leave the game because I'm watching absolute shite that his team is served up and the tactics that the manager's served up. I'm not sitting there watching that. I'd rather be at home. So whether he come out and whether it's being took out of context or not, you have to be careful what you say to Everton fans, because they're not very forgiving. And that's not a proper Everton fans. That's a good thing, because we've had that much shit for years and years and years, not won a trophy since 1995. Doesn't take long for the manager to lose this fan base. So if he's going to carry on coming out like that, taken out of context or not, I think we all know it was a sly dig at us. he wouldn't have sat there. I'm going to get off. I'm not going to watch that. It's as simple as that. And people in the comments will probably have a pop, support your team, stay there till the 90th minute. No. I want to beat the traffic. I want to go and get a taxi early. I want to get home. I want to see my kids. I want to bring my kids home from the game and all that and get out the crowds. I'm going to sit there and watch that awful football that was served up yesterday. First game of the season. He should be up for it. The fan base were up for it, as you quite rightly say. They were there putting the flags out the day before. The players should be up for it. They've had 3 months off or whatever it is. First day back. Get up there. Give the fans something to shout about. Put a performance in for them. Whether it was down to his tactics and the team selection, I don't know what it was with the players. But for me, and Sean Dyche come out and said we were in it the first half, we were the better team. Were we? Were we really that much better than Brighton the first 15, 20 minutes? I don't think so. I don't look at games the first 15 and 20 minutes, Michael. Games I look at are 90, 95 minutes. That's what I look at. Base it over the full game, not 15 and 20 minutes when we might have a little period. I'm not being funny with the home team. We should have a period in the game where we're the better team. But don't tell me that we're better for the first 15 and 20 minutes when we've got to sit there for another hour and watch the crap that your team selection and your team tactics that you dished out served up to us fans. No, don't tell me we're better for 15 minutes, mate, when for the rest of the game we were shite.
When the Thomas scored, what was your initial? Because obviously the first, as Dyche was saying, the first 15, 20 minutes Everton looked alright. We put the ball in the net, blah, blah, blah. All these, we'd had a corner. We'd actually attacked. But the shot on target, the goal that was disallowed, were all in the first 5 minutes. So that means we didn't have a shot on target for the rest of the game. If I'm wrong now,
we had one shot on target,
which was Jack Harrison at the start, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So for the other 80 minutes, 85 minutes.
That's what I mean. So when you saw Matoma scoring from one winger to the other, it was Matoma I was trying to think of earlier. When Minter put the ball across, and no one has gone with Matoma, no one's marking him at the back post. What was your reaction? Because did it look like Everton could even get back in the game at that point, or was you like, no, we lost?
No, you could tell, because when they scored, Michael, they were on top, and as you quite rightly say, we hadn't had a shot on target since the first 5 minutes. So you just know, we know this Everton team, we know what Everton are like, we know what Sean Dyche is like. Even when we go behind, he doesn't make substitutions, apart from obviously, I know he brought in Dyche, which he should have started with, but it took him till 80 minutes to do that. So when you go behind, make changes to change the game, to get ourselves back into it, and he brings Mason Holgate up, what's he going to do? And as I sit there and think, you've got players on the bench there who can come on and make a difference, i.e. Lindstrom and Dyche earlier. Make the changes earlier and see if we can make a difference. Go for it, put them under a little bit of pressure. But we didn't see that, and I think once we go behind, and I think he's like a lot of Everton fans, and we're used to it now, Michael, I think he just gives up on it. I think he just gives up on it.
It's shocking. I couldn't believe that he took for it to be 2-0 down before we brought on Endai. I couldn't believe it. I sat there and was like, what are you doing? I mean, he should have come on at half time.
The home team, first game of the season, and it took him to be 2-0 down and on 80th the minute before he brings a player on who could possibly change the game. I mean, talk about being loyal. Talk about trying to give players Premier League experience. Well, fucking do it earlier. Get them in there, get them in the mix, give them a chance to change the game. Let them show us what they can do in the Premier League. You've played football, Michael, at a very good level. I've played football at a good level. You know, and I know, when you probably didn't even come on as sub, but when you look at football, it takes you 10, 15 minutes to get warmed up and get up to speed anyway. So what did he expect them to do, giving them 10 minutes?
Yeah, what I used to do, if I was a sub, what I would do, say you come on, I don't know, 60, 70 minute, whatever it is, I'd pick up the ball as early as I possibly could. So hopefully that'd be in the first minute or two of coming on the pitch. and I was being either playing in the middle or playing on the wing, I just run straight at a defender. Straight. I wouldn't mess about taking a little touch. I'd turn and go. Now, if they tackled me, fine. If I ran and made something, it would make the other team go, oh, they've brought a lad on here who can do something now. And all of a sudden, it creates a bit more space. It makes people a bit more aware. It doesn't make Brighton as comfortable in that sense. So I can't believe we actually had pace on the bench. I can't believe he didn't utilise it. And the other player I'm going to mention is Dixon, right? So Dixon is the young right back. Pace, absolute pace, got loads of it, right? He wasn't even on the bench for the Everton third team yesterday. And the point I want to make on that is you have got 39 years old, Ashley Young. You've got no other option. Why don't you just put him on the bench instead of putting him in the under-21s? And actually, I'm not going to take the credit for that point, by the way, because Ted said it after the game. Ted did a video on his channel. It was fantastic. He absolutely nailed it. Dyche has done it pre-season. He's given these young lads a chance. He's given them an opportunity to come on the pitch. And instead, yesterday, Harrison Armstrong stayed on the bench. Dixon weren't even in the squad. I think Metcalf was on the bench. I just sat there and thought, you're 3-0 down. Just give them 2 minutes. Give them 3 minutes.
So you go back 3 videos ago when we spoke about in pre-season, and I actually said it on here. He's get the kids in and around the first team squad. They've had minutes. They've looked good. Harrison Armstrong, the other kid who was on the right. Now, we spoke on here, Michael, and I said on here, once the season starts, don't do what you always do and just banish them so we don't see them again. And he done exactly that yesterday. Now, as you quite rightly point out, we had a 39-year-old Ashley Young there. We had no cover at right back. Put him on the bench because I'm telling you now, Young got sent off. So what happens now? Because if James Garner's not up to speed, he can't come in and slot at right back. Is he going to have to play him? Because we haven't got a right back now.
We actually haven't got a right back, and then his option against
Sorry,
Spurs.
I will be back in 2 minutes. I just need to leave because I'm getting a phone call. I'll come back on with the link.
So the other thing I wanted to mention is the fact that yesterday, you see that there's no right back, there's no options. Yet we're going into Spurs next week, and I'm sitting there thinking, who's going to play right back? So is he going to start Mason Holgate, or is he going to start this young Dixon, who it would have been absolutely perfect to at least give him 20 minutes and make a substitution? Because no disrespect, at this point we're not winning the game. Take off. Albert Lewin and stick on Dixon. We're going to score a goal, but at least he gets 20 minutes to try and build up to some Premier League type experience before going to Spurs. Because let's be real, what option have we got next week? We don't have an option at right back unless you start Mason Holgate there, and that for me is a no-go. The other option you might do is go, right, we're going to play 3-5-2 and then maybe put Lindstrom in at right wing back. But I don't know how good Lindstrom is going back. I don't know how good he is defensively. So are you going to stick McNeil at right wing back? You're going to start Jack Harrison at right wing back? I just look at the situation we've now got ourselves in, and the first area that I think we should have addressed was the striker, and the second area was right back, and we've addressed neither of them. And we're going into another game against Spurs, who are, let's be real, they are better than Everton. And the squad that we were all excited about are not ready. And that's the bit that concerns me about the situation. And I don't know what you guys think, but when I look at that and having Coleman, who's 35, Young, 39, we've got Patterson, who's consistently injured. I just sit there and I think, how can you get into this position where we've got so many right backs, but for various reasons none of them can play. Yet you go onto the left hand side, and you've got one regular, but first team left back. I find the whole thing shocking. I find the whole thing shocking. Our 2 weak areas where the balls come from yesterday, we've got really poor options. We've got poor options. And I looked at the midfield and I thought, we need pace to push Brighton back. We didn't do that, which meant we were overexposed. There was too many gaps in the middle of the park. I think he got that wrong. And I think, again, we spoke about starting Calvert-Lewin, we spoke about McNeil, we spoke about Harrison. I'm not going to dig Harrison out too much yesterday because I thought he did okay. But when you look at the team, there's players there that don't want to play for Everton. There's players there that aren't great footballers. And there's players there that don't even expect to be an Everton player from the end of the window. I guarantee that Holgate and Keane, one of them at least will not be at the club. Yet they're still being asked to play minutes for Everton over the youngsters. I sit there and it just disappoints me. It just disappoints me that you've got a manager who, on the first opportunity to really get some excitement into these players and to the fans, he just sticks and reverts back to type after working really hard in pre-season, appearingly. We played quite well against Roma. We put in a good performance against Preston. And then when the actual going gets tough and we're in the actual season, we absolutely bottle it. And that absolutely destroyed me yesterday. And I sat there and I was just embarrassed. I felt sorry for the fans. I just felt sorry for everyone. But this whole thing with not playing kids, not having them on the bench after they're the ones that come out of pre-season as a bit of a shining light, starting Calvert-Lewin, who doesn't really appear to want to be there, Mason Holgate and Michael Keane coming on, and one of them probably won't be at the club at the end of the season. Again, overplaying kids who have got points to prove. I just can't believe it. John, I just made the point that Dixon, if he was on the bench yesterday, you could have subbed him at, say, 75 minutes, brought him on and give him 15 to 20 minutes Premier League experience, because he might be starting against Spurs next week.
Well, the thing is, as soon as Ashley Young was taken off, he should have thought of that and brought him on, Michael, and just to see what he could do. Listen, these kids...
He wasn't even there.
Well, yeah, sorry, yeah. Well, yeah, but the thing is, as you quite rightly said before, because we didn't have any cover at right back yesterday, you would have thought he would have put him on the bench. But what I'm trying to say to you is, if he gives these kids a go, do it early in the season, and we did speak about this, don't throw them in towards the end of the season if, God forbid, we're in another relegation fight or a relegation dog scrap. We don't want to be in that position. I wouldn't expect them to throw them in then. But now, give them a go. Put them all on the bench who really, really look good in pre-season. Let's see what they can do in the Premier League, because I said on here, either bring them on if you're 3-0 up to give them Premier League experience, or you bring them on when you're 3-0 down to give them Premier League experience. They've got nothing to lose, because I guarantee you now, them kids would have been in and around the first 11 yesterday. We would have seen more of them than what we seen from the team that he picked.
Yeah. John, we go to Spurs next week then. We've got no right backs, none. So do you play 3-5-2 and ask either Lindstrom or Jack Harrison to play right wing back, or do you play the same formation and bring in Dixon or Mason Holgate? What do you do?
I don't think he brings Dixon in. It wouldn't surprise me if he plays Mason Holgate at right back, because that's the way I'm feeling about the manager. And I know it's only one game, but again, you're going to see a pattern probably happening here where he's always been loyal to Mason Holgate and Michael Keane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Decore, not so much loyal to Mason Holgate because he doesn't really get a game. But instead of giving someone else a go yesterday, he brought him on. So I think he put Mason Holgate at right back next week. I really, really do. Not going to shock me anymore, Michael, but I'm telling you now, I know it's only one game and I know I keep saying that, and people will probably have a pop at us in the comments, but we don't want that trend to start happening again.
John, because you haven't seen the comments from the match reaction clearly, because you'd be shocked how many people back what we said, what I said, and what you said. You will be shocked. It was weirdly, and I'm very grateful to you guys as well for the support, but it was weirdly a video where I think you absolutely agreed with what me and John said. And I sit here and I've gone from being really optimistic about this season, really happy, really excited. And John, you were usually I'm the doom and gloom, and you're more, bubbling and happy and excited. And this season, warming up, it's been me bubbling and excited, and you've just been a little bit more calm and said, "Look, it's fine, but we need goals, Mike. So chill out a little bit." I went into yesterday thinking, yeah, we're going to beat Brighton 2-0, really confident, happy, excited, and honestly, mate, it's like someone's put a pin in my balloon. I feel.
Do you know if you look at the performance yesterday, listen, Brighton were the better team after the first 15 minutes, apparently. When you look at it and you think, do you know if we played well and that so-called XG would have been high yesterday, expected goals in the game, and we created chances and we should have had a penalty, and was the goal offside that we scored earlier on? Do you know if you add all them things into it and we go, well, do you know what? We're unlucky there. We deserve something out that game. Then you're sort of not feeling as deflated. But first game of the season, when you see a performance like that, it's no wonder why we're deflated, because we should be all up for it. We should be doing a match debrief on here today going, we're unlucky there yesterday. We didn't deserve to get beat 3-0. There were some good individual performances. I can think of one good individual performance. We were never going to win the game after the first 15, 20 minutes. So that's why we're feeling deflated. And we go to the Tottenham game, and I don't think that's going to be much better, because there's not many teams go there that get a result. And with the way he's not giving the young kid to go, and I'm not expecting him to throw them straight in, Michael, but when we're struggling at right back and we're scoring to score goals, do you see us going to Tottenham and getting anything? And I know it's a week away. And that's probably quite negative. But I look at our fixtures coming up. We've got Tottenham, we've got Doncaster, we've got Bournemouth at home. We save up another performance like we did yesterday. Bournemouth will probably get something off us at home. Then we start heading to hard games. Then Leicester and Villa. We need to pick up points. And we need to start getting maybe the odd draw away from home. If we could salvage something from Tottenham and get a cheeky 1-1 or, a 0-0, which I don't see us getting. But we can't come adrift of these teams that are above us, because, again, we're not scoring goals. We don't look like scoring enough goals to help us again this season.
Do you know what concerns me? And I'm talking about yesterday, and I was watching before we did this video, I was watching the Palace Brentford game. I haven't seen a team that look worse than Everton. Even Ipswich, I thought Ipswich
back now.
I thought Ipswich was. I thought Ipswich were good against Liverpool. I thought all the teams that I thought would have something. Bournemouth, Wolves, decent. Even Southampton. I just sat there and thought, we look so poor. We look so far off it, and yet, we've done the least amount of miles in pre-season. We've got one of the smallest squads. Nothing makes sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me how we could be that bad yesterday. But look, we are where we are. I'm just concerned. I'm concerned. Maybe it's early, but I'm concerned because, as I say, I can't, at this moment in time, I looked at the teams that have come up and I watched, you watch Match of the Day, I watch it, whatever. Southampton played all right. Ipswich played all right. The other teams that I thought might be in and around it, Wolves, Bournemouth, Brentford, they've all got more going forward than we have. We need, if he's gonna turn this round and start playing attacking football, he can't bottle it like he did yesterday. And to me, straight up, Sean Dyche bottled it yesterday. Just bottled it.
Apologies, I know that's not very, very doesn't look good, but my lad is waiting on a taxi and he asked me what taxi it was, so I apologise. It's not very good.
Jesus Christ, we get home safe, John. Don't you worry about that.
You mentioned the team there, Brentford. When we started doing this video, I know it's It's going to be out in a bit. Brentford are 1-0 without Tony in the team. When you're talking about players there that you're talking about teams there where they've got goals, and we've said on here, Michael, they've got goals and they've got goal scorers in a lot of them teams. But we've said on here, when you look at it, I think, and I've said to you, I think we've got the worst strike force in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I actually think we've got the worst group of strikers in the Premier League. So when you're thinking like that, and you've got other teams, then who are scoring goals, teams that, we should be looking to finish above, and they're scoring goals, or they look capable of scoring goals. That's the worrying thing for me.
Yeah, Everton were linked yesterday with Eddie Nketiah. And funny enough, he's a player that some people in the comments were fairly negative about Nketiah, but he's a player that I like, and I know he'll work hard, and he's got a goal in him. I certainly think he scores more goals than Calvert-Lewin over the season. Is that someone you like?
Well, we've spoke about Eddie Nketiah on here because we've been linked with him. I actually thought he'd go to Bournemouth to replace Dominic Solanke. Quite rightly say what you say there, Michael. I totally agree. Echo your thoughts that he scores more goals than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably scores more goals than Beto and probably Maupay. So he'd probably be, when you look at it, he'd probably be the striker who'd get more goals for us than anyone. Does he score enough for us? Probably not, but wasn't really given a run of games at Arsenal. And no, last season he got a couple of games under his belt and he was doing all right when Jesus was out. Maybe he's the sort of player who does need to run in a team to show what he can do. To have no problems bringing Eddie Nketiah in. No problem whatsoever.
No, I don't either. Right, I think that's it. I've got nothing else to add. I'm just hoping it's a better week. And you can almost feel the uncertainty around players like Calvert-Lewin and, starting Michael Keane and bringing on Mason Holgate when probably 2 out of them 3 players won't be at the club at the end of the window. Maupay probably won't be at Everton either. So there's definitely going to be some outgoings. It's just what we do to bring in players, because it was abundantly obvious yesterday we need a striker. I mean, I just sit there and I think, even with the players we bought in, have we got enough? That's the bit that worries me. I just sit there.
No, I don't think we have got enough with the players we brought in, because the players that we've brought in, they're not going to reach double figures in goals this season. They might have an assist. But who are you assisting? A Dominic Calvert-Lewin who doesn't want to be at the club, who's had a contract on the table since Christmas.
That's what I mean.
Who are you assisting? Are you assisting Beto, who for me is a shocking footballer? Or when Chimity's fit, are you assisting him? Now, for me, we spoke about that on here. I think the informed striker from pre-season is actually Chimity. Unfortunately, he's out for 6 weeks with a foot injury now. But when he's back fit, I'd have no problem throwing him straight back in as long as his foot's sorted, because we're not getting enough goals off the others. I guarantee you now we're not getting enough goals off Calvert-Lewin, Beto or Maupay. We're not getting enough goals off Chimity, but he'll chip in with goals. But who are them midfielders that we brought in? Who are they actually assisting to and creating chances for? Because our centre forwards, as I said before, and I'll say it again, with the worst strike force, the worst centre forward in the Premier League.
There you go, folks. There is your debrief to Everton 0, Brighton 3. Brighton looked. There was a few comments from Brighton fans in the match reaction. So, look, Brighton, you looked good yesterday. You looked pacey. You looked decent defensively.
Wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard, but I think they certainly looked. They looked decent. They looked like a solid top 8 team yesterday, I thought. But it's an absolute pattern. We drew with Brighton 1-1 last season. They equalised in the 85th minute.
Yeah.
Yesterday was. I mean,
well, I was at that game. I was at that game with the Amex, and we were winning 1-0. I think it was Jared Brantwaite who scored our goal, and they did score it towards the end. Lewis Dunk header, left unmarked. Thought we were coming away. Long journey with 3 points there. we could put up a good performance at their place, you know, and they were probably lucky to get a draw out of it. Yesterday, Brighton pissed all over us. They looked like the home team. They looked like the team from after the first 15 minutes. There's only one team going to win it, Michael. So it was chalk and cheese from the performance that we put up at their ground last season. They come to Goodison yesterday and absolutely smashed Everton and done a job on Everton. And I read the stats out before. So if people don't believe that Brighton didn't smash us yesterday, go and have a look at the stats from the first half, because the possession I give you before was based over 90 minutes. They actually have more possession in the first half as well. So considering we were in the game for the first 20 minutes, according to our manager, bullshit.
Well, we'll leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, guys, and we will see you soon for another video. Peace.